Turn your Bibles again to Luke chapter 15. Let me see if I can get over there myself. As quick as you can get there. Let me get there. Luke chapter 15, and we're going to go right back to verse 11. And we're still talking about the prodigal son. And we said that this man had two sons. Somebody said he had two sons. How many of you know that in a household, sometimes you're going to always have one that seems like they'll be for the family and one that can be against you? Because that's just the way the devil works. But how many of you know that? And then sometimes you had two sons that look like they're for you, and then you don't know until they get up to a certain age what they've been nurturing. But this younger son decided that he wanted his part. All right, so let's see if we can go back and recap just a little bit. So the son decided, I'm not going to read all of this, you can read this at your leisure, but we have verse 11. This certain man had two sons. Then the younger one decides, Father, give me the portion. Now, father means what? Abba, and Abba means source. He's talking to the source and telling the source, give me my peace. I don't want to be under the source anymore. I want my own money. I want my own car. I want my own house. I want my own family. That's a stupid son. You know, the one thing that I'm learning, and my husband and I have learned, that family is not supposed to disconnect. As your children marry and the grandkids come, you're not supposed to try to reinvent the wheel of family. It's supposed to stay connected. And this son missed it because he wants to disconnect from what gives him strength. So he gathered all that he had and he left. What he took was what he demanded. He asked for a piece of what the source had. It was all he had. Say it was all he had. So it began and ended with him now, because he was no longer tied to the source. So what create needs? When you own things. When you own your car, guess who got to take care of it? You. When you own your house, who has to take care of it? You. But if it belongs to God, you're going to get it by tomorrow. If it belongs to God, see, we got to take our focus off of things, because this is the same, to me, is very similar to Matthew 6. We got to get our focus off of the things, because that's where the focus has been. He thought he needed all those things as though his daddy had not provided it for him. And he was going out and trying to make his own way. So guess what he did? He got out there and discovered he was not all that in a bag of chips. So he had to go get a job. He got hired out by the system. And you know, some people think, oh, now I'm independent and I got my own job. But you're still an employee. Somebody say an employee. You're not an owner anymore. You're an employee. And as long as you're an employee, you can't go and do like you want to do, because you need the job. Oh. So he hired himself out to the system. Now, when the system hires you, here's the downside of it. They just don't employ you, but they make you beg for the scraps that they are willing to hand out to you. You fighting over increase in salary when they could probably pay you a whole lot more than that based on what they earn. If a company is taking in billions of dollars and you still getting $7.75 an hour, something wrong with this picture. What does that say? You are not the priority. Money is. So they make you beg for those little scraps. You have to be less than them so you can keep needing them. Why? Because you have made the job your source. And anything that is going to be your source, you'll never overcome it. You'll never be greater than your source. So it's no need of you going to your job and thinking that, well, my job, I got a good job and I'm going to be working for the next 30 years, 40 years, and, and I'm going to retire, and then they're going to give me a Social Security check. By 2025, Social Security will be gone. So depending on your age, you better get a new plan. And here's part of our problem. We always go to other people for help. You broke, they broke. You sick, they sick. You all in the system together. How they going to help you? Then you go right back to the system, and the system says, yeah, we'll help you. We'll help keep you right in the system. They let you borrow more money. What the young son did at some point, he began to do what? He said he came to himself. The scripture said he began to talk to himself. So today you need to determine, I'm going to tell myself the truth. That's it. I'm coming out of this muddy pig pen. I'm going to stop borrowing from the world. When I need something, I'm going to my source. Ooh, Jesus. That's if God is your source. I'm going to my source. As a tither and a giver, you have every right to go to the source. But we've had our dependency in our jobs and this economy too long. So it makes us afraid to put all our trust in God. At some point, you're going to have to do this in order to get what God has for you. You're going to have to say, you know what? I'm going to stop borrowing money. That didn't go over too well. But it says, I'm going to stop borrowing money from the world. And I will trust God for everything. That's something Dr. Davis and I made up in our mind. Look, God provides it. And whenever that takes place, fine, good enough. But we're not going to borrow any more money. And I told him, I said, I'll be so glad when this mortgage is paid for. Because, more it means death. How many of y'all know that word? You need to look it up. The word mortgage is actually a death sentence. So you want to get rid of that one, right? See, God never intended for us to live like that. Now, here's a nugget for you. You don't get things from God because you work. Because he didn't hire you. You're a son. You're an heir and a joint heir. When you think like that in relation to God, it's because you got an employee mindset. And you think God has hired you. No, you're working with him. Say with him. And not for him. Two different scenarios. When you work for somebody, they employ you, an employee. When you work with somebody, you're in partnership. That means I get the same benefits that he gets. Woo, Jesus. I am entitled to the same benefits because I'm in partnership. Woo. All we got to do is get back in the house. See, the young son, when he came himself, he came back with an employee mindset. And the daddy told him, said, no, boy, what's wrong with you? You're heir to me. You ain't got no business acting like an employee. I didn't hire you. Get back in this house and act like you got some sense. So what the daddy did, the daddy went and got the best robe. Somebody said the best robe. Why? Because the robe represents the best and not just something to wear. God don't want you to just wear something because it's cheap. It's what you can afford. It's what you can afford. It's what you can afford. Why don't you ask God for something better? He's your source. Stop wearing $7 clothes when God got $70 blouses out there. You choose to wear cheap. Ooh, am I helping anybody? Because you won't go to your source. You're looking at your wallet and determining what God can do. Wrong. Woo. Then he said, I'm going to put this ring on you, boy. This ring is more than just something to glitter in the dark. No, this ring represents my authority. This means you can go anywhere and represent me. Then the ring also represents the name. Now you represent the family. In the older days, people were not called by their personal names. They were called by the family name. Are you part of the family? Then you don't need your personal name. It's inconsequential. God knows it, and that's good enough. I'm part of the family of God. That's my new name. And then it gave you access. Somebody say access. This was the first credit card. That's the way I saw it. It was the first credit card because the ring had the family crest or insignia on it. And you could take that ring and put it in the wax and go to any store, any place on that land and shop. And it was charged to the family account. They didn't have to carry money in there. The family business took care of it. Y'all gonna catch this one day. Listen, when you deal with royalty, they don't carry a lot of money on them. Their name gets them in the door. They got access. The family name gives them access. You said, well, now you can't go and put no car in the name of God. What if you go into the world? You can't. But if God's buying it for you, what's wrong with it being in the name of God? I got a car in the name of God. God gave it to me. No debt on it. Don't have to look at nobody telling me I can't drive it or telling me they're going to cut it off because they got all these chips and stuff in cars nowadays. You drive it and they're going to decide to cut it off. That's crazy. Come on, stand to your feet.